Hey everybody, welcome back as we begin to piece back this 15-year-old Dell Vostro 230 and talk about some of the parts that we chose to throw in this thing. And as I alluded to in my last video, we are going with an AM4 build, and I guess we'll start off with the motherboard here. We chose this Gigabyte B550M Gaming X Wi-Fi. It's 5000 series ready. It's got Wi-Fi built in. Pretty much all the components look really nice. The VRM should handle what we're putting in here. The only thing that it really doesn't have, that a lot of the modern motherboards have now, is a heat sink on the N.2 drives, which is why we went ahead and chose this Crucial P310 that has the heat sink in it. And this is a 1 terabyte Gen 4, which we're able to do on this B550. The processor that we chose, we're going to do the Ryzen 5 5700X. It's pretty much one of the higher end AM4 CPUs that we're allowed to throw in here. Yes, you could obviously go with an X3D chip, 5700 X3D, 5800 X3D, even a 5600 X3D or a 5500 X3D. But to keep the cost down for a more budget oriented build, I went ahead with the 5700X. It's going to have the 8 cores, give you some longevity there. We're going to go with 32 gigabytes of DDR4. Now, I got 2 different speed sticks because in this market, it's pretty difficult to get something that's a reasonable price. I had to go with 2 different speeds. This is 3600 in CL18, and this is a 3200 CL16. So I'm hoping that we can get 3200 CL16 out of both of these and give us 32 gigs. We'll have to see how that goes. If not, it's a lot easier to find the 3200 CL16 than it is the 36 CL18 in my market. But we'll just see how that goes. We'll play with that. Again, this is a used component I got on the local market here where I'm at. So the only other used component that I have is actually the GPU. We have an XFX Speedster Quick 319 RX 6750 XT. And this card is immaculate. I was so surprised of how well this person took care of it, or how little they actually ended up using this. I mean, I don't see a speck of dust on this thing. And what amazes me the most is it actually smells good, which I know might be a little weird, but they kept it in a very clean environment. No smoke whatsoever. 2 8-pins right there. So really, they kept this thing immaculate. So I'm really pleased with that buy. We're going with the Seasonic GX650 80 plus gold. This is a really good power supply. Should there'll be plenty for what we're running through here. Yeah, you could go with something a little higher, 750 watt, or just to give it a little more breathing room. I decided to go ahead and put a 3.5-inch floppy drive USB and card reader adapter in it. I didn't know if I was going to, but at the end I decided to. This does have the Type-C connector on the motherboard, so we'll be able to utilize that, because I was thinking that I'm not going to have any USB Type-Cs on the front unless I do something like this. So we're going to leave the front USB 2.0s that came factory with this. We're going to leave those on there, but we are going to upgrade this. So, and it's black, it fits in there just quite nicely, so shouldn't be any problems there. Next thing we're going with, like the last one, Peerless Assassin 120 Mini Black. Again, it worked out really good with the 9700X. Should do quite well for the 5700X. Few little odds and end things. We've got a Thermalright TLP9, that's the 92 millimeter. We're going to use this for the exhaust fan because it's going to be right next to our Peerless Assassin tower cooler, so it'll kind of match the aesthetics on the back end. For the front, for the intake fans, we went with Arctic. I couldn't find any Thermalright fans to match the that had a Y splitter built in. This 92mm does, so we'll be able to piggyback these two fans on the front intake. So again, keep costs down. And besides, where they're going to be placed at back in here under the for the front behind the panel, you're hardly ever going to see these fans. So aesthetically, I don't think that's a big deal. And last, we've got some magnetic dust covers with some magnetic strips to do at the bottom. Make sure keep a little bit of the dust down coming into the bottom. So all these parts should pair well together. I did decide, since this is a little bit of a higher end budget build, to go with the 32 gigs. I know I wasn't sure. I got a pretty good price on both of these, so I'm actually really happy with throwing the 32 gigs in here. I know it'll be a lot better for someone else who just wants to kind of sit it and forget it and just play their games and not really have to worry. The 12 gigs here for VRAM on the 6750 XT handle any 1080p and 1440p for the most part right there. So in 1 terabyte we'll get them started. I really feel like, even though SSD prices are climbing with DRAM prices and a lot of other prices, that 1 terabyte is pretty much what I feel is the minimum. It's what I would want to do if I were like gonna buy something. I would really want 1 terabyte. I mean, yes, you can get 512 or less, but you're just so limited. At least that'll get the person rolling, get them with several games to set up. So all right, now that we've got all the parts introduced, we'll go ahead and start getting this stuff moved around and get the case set up to build in, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, now that we're back, we'll first start with the M.2 because I wanted to show you something on this. This little plastic tab, it kind of feels like it rotates a little bit and moves. What it is a push pin, a little plastic pin. So all you do is you kind of wiggle it and pull up, and it should pop out. And this is what you're going to use to secure your M.2. So we'll go ahead and get that knocked out. Again, got a little heat sink on there. So we'll slide this over to the other side. We'll angle this down in here. Only one way it can go in. Push it in there. Push this down. And then you line up the little plastic pin. And you just push it down in there, kind of snaps into place, and that's it. Pretty simple on that. So, next, we'll take the old standard mounting brackets for like a factory cooler off of this motherboard so we can get ready to put our tower cooler on here. So we'll take these 4 off. Alright. Now we'll get ready to put these little spacers, these little plastic spacers on here for the new mounting bracket. One on each one. Next we'll get the new mounting plate on there. And we're just going to get them started a little bit. Alright, let's tighten them down. Again, they're only going to tighten so far, so snug them up a little bit. Okay, that's all good. That's changed out. We'll go ahead and install the RAM. Again, it's kind of nice that it's somewhat marked out here. We'll do the 2nd and the 4th slots. We'll pop the tabs off on the side. We'll line up for the little indent that we have one here on the motherboard as well. We'll line this up. And then we're going to push it down. You should hear both these tabs will engage, and that'll be what you hear, kind of the snap sound. Just like that. Go over to the next one. Same thing. Push down evenly on both sides. It'll be a little firm, so don't worry. Okay, that is all good. Next we will install the CPU. Be real careful, you don't want to drop this. We'll release this latch here. Get the CPU out. Again, same thing as on AM5. There's a little golden triangle right down there that will match one on the motherboard on this corner down there. So we'll put this in, carefully line it up. Okay, just like that, kind of fell into place. Just a little wiggle there to make sure nothing's out of place. Again, put the locking handle down, just like that. And I'm going to grab some isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, it's a new processor, but I've been kind of messing with it, so I just want to clean up just a little bit and make sure I don't have any of my hand oils or anything on it before we put the thermal paste in. Alright. Clean, Thermalright. They come with their own tube, just enough for this application. So we'll let that dry off real quick. Alright, now that it's dry, we'll put our pea-sized thermal paste right here in the middle of it. Just kind of, if you have a little bit left, it's really cold outside where I'm at right now, so it's not coming out the best. That's okay. You can't really add too much of this stuff, so alright, next, don't forget to take the cover off here. Also a good idea to go ahead and clean the back of this just in case. Alright, we're going to line these screws right here with our new mounting brackets. Just kind of work it back and forth. Okay, that is good. Next we'll put the fan. Again, we want this as an exhaust fan. So sometimes they have these labeled. I don't think Thermalright did on this one, but that's okay. Almost always, if not always that I'm aware of, they will always should be facing the same direction, so that your bearing hub back here, the casing, not the part that you can pull off, so will be, the fan direction will be blowing this direction. So if we want this to exhaust out the back of the case, like this one, this is how we're going to set it in there. So we've got these standard fan clips here, and we will put them where we're going to be pulling this way. All right, now we got that situated. So now we can hook this, slide it down there, go down as far as it'll let us go, and then it just, you pull it a little bit, just snaps on the side there. I'll show you that. They just snap anywhere in there and it'll set itself. So that's all good. We're done with that. We can go ahead and connect our CPU fan header here. Next, we'll get ready to set it up in the desktop itself. So we'll get this moved out of the way, get the desktop set up, and I'll be right back with you. Start putting this motherboard in here and grab it by the CPU cooler. Kind of angle it in a little bit. About where you need to. Get the holes lined up. Pretty close. Alright. Then we'll start putting our standoff screws in. Next we're going to do the PSU. Again, fan facing down. There we go. The little latch is secured that right there. We'll put our 4 motherboard screws, or PSU screws, on the back. Alright, flip this back over. Go ahead and install the exhaust fan on the back. We'll get the zip tie off here. We'll do the zip ties later, or the little bread tie there. Again, we want this an exhaust fan, so orientation is going to be facing out. Wow, that's good. We'll cable manage that later. The DVD drive, got the screws in here. I'll take these out. Just slides in, locks into place. Get the screws, put them back in. Next, I think we'll do this USB adapter here. Perfect. There. Next, we'll do these fans in the front. Along with, I guess first we'll do the headphone audio jacks and the USB 2.0 ports. Now we'll move on to the fans. So again, 80mm. We will be doing on the top. So we want this as an intake, so we're going to be putting it like this from the inside. Perfect. Alright, next one. Alright, here's our fans. Alright, now I'm going to install the power button. This one just clips there. We'll have to zip tie it up here a little bit, and then it runs through here. That's where we're going to put it through. And this little button, or LED, it went right up here. So we'll clip this in. Let's see, this side in first, and then it snaps down. Perfect. This goes right here. That'll work. Keep all that nice and tidy there. All right, let's get this thing flip back over. Some of these cables out of the way. Start plugging in a few of these power supply cables. Alright, I got all the cables put in there and a little bit of cable management done. I did have to, on the front power switches and LEDs, I had to use some of these male to female wires to correctly pin it out. And the best thing to do, if you don't have the motherboard, which I did, but they're not labeled like we would traditionally see it. Dell uses their own labeling. But you can trace the wires to the buttons on the front and the LEDs on the front, and then run them back. Sometimes the polarity matters. Like the power button, it doesn't matter. You can switch them and it's fine. So just going off that, you generally, if it's all right, if you don't have them wired up right, you can always take them out and wire them back, switch the polarities of the two, or just keep trialing by trial and error. So just keep that in mind. I went ahead and plugged 2 of these in for the for the GPU. Now you can daisy chain these, what they call daisy chain, so just one connector into the 2 8-pin. But in case someone wants to upgrade this in the future, we went ahead and ran both. That way there'd be plenty of power for this 6750 XT. And we're going to go ahead and stick that 6750 XT in. Alright, there it is. It's going to be a very tight fit. I got that rerouted now. So let's try it now. See if we still gonna be really tight. Get it in there. Okay. Oh, much better. Perfect. Look at that. Yeah, I just had to get this. I couldn't set it down on there like that. But that's perfectly fine right there. I like that. We'll get a couple of these. Oh, this one doesn't have it. We'll put our PCI bracket covers back on back here. Hooked in nice. That'll work. I like the cable management there. We'll put this cover holder on it. Now we can plug our 8 pins in. There we go. And we will, like I said, we'll cable manage this a little bit better later on. This turned out really nice. I actually really like the all black look. I guess it's more normal looking, what we would consider normal looking. So hopefully everything posts good. I know it's somewhat of a sin to post or to do a little bit of cable management before you turn everything on, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Oh, the only other thing that we need to do, besides putting everything back together and obviously testing it, is on the bottom. I will cut this out off screen and put a magnetic dust filter at the bottom. Pretty simple, just line it out, cut it, and then glue these strips on there. So again, thank you for coming along with me on this build on this Dell Vostro 230. If you have any comments or suggestions, please do like and subscribe. And if you don't like anything or want me to change something or have any ideas, like I said, I'm free to learn, and we'll keep you updated and work on this one more time, and then we have another build lined up. And I've got a little bit of a change of plans, I think, after that one. Not with content of building sleepers or anything. Just trying to go a different direction until the market kind of settles down on a few different things. So, like I said, I had to use DDR5 or DDR4 RAM, and I got a used GPU. Some of the other things I was able to get new before the prices went up, like the SSD and everything. So, again, thank you for coming along. We'll see you next time.